Berlanti created his own DC universe, and in doing so, did for TV shows what the MCU has done for movies, created an interconnected universe. And welcome back to the heart of the stories we tell. I'm Rob the host, and this is another look deep into what makes a story, a theory on storytelling by a storyteller who believes that every story has merit. And tonight's episode is... That's how we became the Berlantiverse. Alright, so the Berlantiverse is Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow, all of which are TV shows on the CW, although Supergirl started out on CBS. They had a 3.5 night crossover, and in general, they're probably the best DC TV out there right now. Maybe some of the best comic book universe out there. Maybe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a little better, especially in the second half, but okay. It started off with the Arrow, and then went to Flash. At the same time, it then launched Legends of Tomorrow, which was a short team-up series, and Supergirl, which again started on CBS before being brought in-house. They did also bring in some of the other stuff, like they brought Constantine in from NBC, and that was cool. And all these series have some stuff in common. Now, this year, what their main thing was how they left us on BS cliffhangers. But if you saw my other reviews, I handled most of the individual stuff. What I really want to talk about is how the Berlantiverse is so much the same, especially since, this year coming up, we're about to launch 2 new series, another animated cartoon, in this case The Ray, and another live-action TV series, Black Lightning. Hashtag Black Lightning's back. But Black Lightning doesn't take place on the same Earths as the other 2. That doesn't mean it can't be part of the Berlantiverse, though. Right now, what we have is we had the Legends chasing the Spear of Destiny in a very comic booky story. We have Supergirl facing off against anti-alien propaganda. We have Flash fighting his evil doppelganger from the future. Yeah, that's complicated. And we have Arrow fighting Prometheus. Basically evil Batman with daddy issues. Okay, they had to put all those storylines on hold, though, when they did their 4-night crossover. 3.5. Red Sky crossover for Supergirl. So, if there's so much different stuff going on, why are we talking about them as being the same? Well, point blank, Berlanti and crew not only use comic book and TV tropes, and not only use them well, but they created their own. They have things specific to their series that I think are the way things are going to go for all Berlanti shows, and to a certain extent, that comes from the fact that they're kind of mixing and matching. Specifically, the way they handle secret identities, the way they handle individual heroes and team heroes, the way they handle what I call the firestorm effect, which I'll get into even though I get into a lot. Basically, the CW created a beautiful person superhero set of shows, and there's nothing the matter with that. They use a lot of comic book tropes. They do things like, oh, when the heroes first meet for the first time, they have to fight. Oh, well, they have crossovers that, again, are Red Sky. They have villains that have personal relationships with heroes. And again, they have gray characters that you're not quite sure what to do. And there's also a little bit of soap opera in them. Maybe a lot of soap opera when it comes to Elicity. But okay. That's all common stuff. The tropes they specifically created. The team/individual hero. When I talk about Arrow, I talk about Team Arrow. When I talk about Flash, I talk about Team Flash. Legends of Tomorrow is a team show, so that's to be expected. And to a certain extent, Supergirl has a whole team, too. Specifically, their teams look a lot alike, though, when you really dig past the surface. Let's start with the fact that you know what? No. We need to talk about secret identities first. And why do we need to talk about secret identities first? Because that's how these teams came about. Because these teams are all the people that support them in their real lives, too, being brought into their superhero identities. Because, let's face it, if there's a comic book trope that a lot of people have problems with, it's Superman takes off his glasses, and somehow an award-winning reporter can't figure out who he is. Secret identities don't work with people you love. For all the BS thrown its way, the Green Lantern movie might have done this best. Hal, I've seen you naked. Putting a mask up so I can't see your cheekbones isn't going to help much. Arrow tried in the first season to keep his secret identity a secret, but overall, in general, all of these characters come into the same conclusion. The people I care about need to know I am this superhero. And the people I care about, normally in these cases, are people who are helpful. And as such, they create whole teams around themselves. Supergirl has the DEO, and has Jimmy Olsen. Don't get me started with Jimmy Olsen. And has Wynn, who now is part of the DEO. Flash has Star Labs, which in and of itself is cool, but his adopted father is also a police officer, and that's helpful. And his partner in the crime lab is now a helper, too. And on top of that, he brought his girlfriend, now fiancé, in on the team. Supergirl, like I said, has Jimmy Olsen, has the DEO, which includes her sister, and Martian Manhunter. On Arrow, it's a little less so at the beginning, but right now we have a whole team of vigilantes. And we have other vigilantes that show up and guest star here and there. The entire idea is that no one person can handle these things alone. Now, this isn't a wholesale creation of the Berlantiverse. DC Comics did do this. In fact, that's how they do Batman most of the time nowadays. There's Batman, there's Robin, there's Nightwing, there's Huntress, there's Oracle, there's Red Robin, there's Red Hood. Did I say Nightwing? I think I said Nightwing. And all of these shows are taking this idea. No man is an island. No one is perfect. They need help. They need people who have helpful things. Now, because of this, because they bring in all these people that have these powers, we get the Firestorm effect. Firestorm, if you don't know him, is super powerful. He can transmute matter from one thing to another. He can shoot out nuclear radiation blasts. He can regenerate himself. And he is both a physically powerful person and a mentally powerful person. Well, he's actually two people merged together. In general, if Superman can do it, Firestorm can do it. If Superman can't do it, Firestorm can probably also do it. If it doesn't require a very specific power set, Firestorm can do it. And Firestorm flies. At the end of the day, Firestorm is pretty all-powerful. And he was brought in Season 1 of The Flash. And then brought over to Legends of Tomorrow. Having him be that powerful is just a problem. Now, I understand why the writers need to write around power sets sometimes. But they do it a lot, and the more powerful the character, the more they write it around. So, I call it the Firestorm effect. But it's not just Firestorm. The Atom gets hit with it. Flash gets hit with it all the time. Martian Manhunter gets hit with it. And recently on this season of Arrow, Ragman got hit by it. And Ragman's the one I really want to talk about here. Ragman has the ability to stop explosives and bullets with his suit. We get this pretty much right away from his first appearances. But, oh no, Prometheus, who throws throwing stars, does ninjutsu, and fires arrows, he's too dangerous for me to bring the team. The whole season could have been wrapped up in the mid-season finale if he brought Ragman to that fight. But, of course, they had to write it so that Ragman wasn't there, because Ragman is too powerful. They finally wrote him out of the series by having him expend all of his soul energy to stop a nuclear blast. Think that through for a second. Stop a nuclear blast. Alright. We also have this little problem, and this is one that is not specific to the Berlantiverse, but crossover. Once you start crossing over, how do you stop? We have, in Supergirl, she has a little device that allows her to just go to the Flash's Earth, and they do use that once for the musical episode. But I want you to think about this for a second. Anytime they have a problem, they need Supergirl, they could just go grab her for a few minutes, or even just the DEO. Savitar, they needed to hide someone from him. Why not hide him with Supergirl and Martian Manhunter? I mean, seriously, the entire Legends of Tomorrow season has been a problem of, we keep running into a speedster and we don't know how to handle him. Meanwhile, Flash's season has been, man, Savitar's from the future and knows more than I do. How do I stop him? How do I get that information from the future? Almost like a time travel series and a speedster series could totally cross over there. And Vibe alone creates this issue. Vibe not only can pretty much read the future, but he also has the ability to open portals to other Earths. Once that came about, we were in some trouble when it came to crossover. Of course, the real reason out of story why they don't cross over is because the writer isn't writing a whole series. He's only writing one individual episode of one individual show with one set of characters to spotlight. So, as much as I understand it, there is the same amount of there's something going on. Now, I brought up Black Lightning at the beginning of this, and I brought him up for one specific reason, because I'm going to place some bets as to what's going to happen, and what tropes are going to be used, because they're the same ones we've seen on Flash, and Arrow, and Supergirl. His family's going to know, if not right away from the beginning, then probably by the end of the first episode, or first series of episodes, that he is Black Lightning. And he is going to recruit his daughter, one of his daughters is going to be scientifically brainy, like Wynn and like Felicity. And one of them is going to be good with computers, and they're going to have their own power set eventually, or maybe right off the bat. And he's going to create Team Black Lightning. And sooner or later, probably not in the first season, there will be a crossover. There will be a point when Earth 17, Earth 104, whatever they call it, crosses over with Earth 1 and Earth 2 and Earth 17. And I'd like to point out that that is the genius of doing the multiverse. And the Music Man episode totally gives you exactly where their strength is. You could have an entire week of episode, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where they just have, on Earth 73, all of the characters are there, or some amalgam of the characters, because, Professor Stein is there, and Ronnie is there as Firestorm, but so is Oliver Green Arrow, and so is Supergirl. And you could just have that be the crossover. Not an actual crossover, but just an alternate set of episodes. And that way, we're not really putting the storylines on hold. Or they could do Crisis on Earth X. And actually, that's the title of an actual DC crossover, because there was an Earth X. But I meant X the variable. Where they could could be like, hey, I feel like Gypsy's in trouble. They did that this season in reverse, so we need to go rescue Gypsy. She's on Earth 14, 32, whatever. Now, you know what? When we get there, oh man, they've got like a whole crime syndicate of America going. We need to go recruit people from across time and space in order to help free Gypsy and stop this bad guy that could then cross over into our world. And bingo bango, you've got an instant crossover that would work well. The whole universe, by accident or on purpose, was set up that way. Overall, I am very happy with the way the episodes go. Every once in a while I sit there and I have a moment. But there's so much potential in the Arrowverse, the Berlantiverse. These shows, hell, I freaked out when I saw the superhero base behind them, but I guess it's just a warehouse behind Star Labs that we never see again. Whatever. The 4-night crossover showed exactly how much potential could be brought to bear with these, but I'd like to see so much more. You know what I'd really like to see? I'd like to see secondary character crossovers. Things like Vibe comes to Supergirl's Earth, or Black Lightning's Earth, to do something, and just interact with them for a little while. Or something really, really crazy. Like, imagine if when Savitar went to stab Iris, instead of it being Wells, his blade snapped, because it was Supergirl with her face-changing software. That would have just been amazing. But at the same time, again, I get it, scheduling conflict, real life gets in the way of doing these. But these two characters right here started the ball rolling, and I think they did an amazing job. I'm curious, what do you think of the Berlantiverse? Do you think I'm putting it on too high of a pedestal? Or do you think that I'm not explaining it properly enough and that it's even more badass? Either way, let me know down in the comments. One of the most fun things we could do is maybe have me do a reaction video to my own video, talking about what you guys bring up in the comments. Things I missed, things I said you didn't like, things that you think that I took the wrong way, and especially my Firestorm effect. Definitely leave examples of other people who did Firestorm effects. But for now, we get to the end, and I need to ask you to like and share this video, and of course hit that subscribe button to help me build this community, because I'd like to explore everything as we take a walk through the heart of the stories we tell. Also, slight note, I've started a new Throwback Thursdays, where I review shows that aren't just new, but ones that were a while ago. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have a good night.